Ladies and gentlemen, you are in for a show tonight. These competitors have honed their skills in lighting, posing, framing, and imagination to bring you these amazing sights to behold. This is Major's Picks. Our first champion of toy photography is a master of horror and gore, blending environments and atmosphere to create movie-like scenes. C. Mariscal! Carlos is not only an awesome photographer, but an awesome person as well. As Carlos is local to me, I have had the pleasure of meeting him in person multiple times. We have bought and sold diodes to each other and have talked extensively about figures and photography. What I find most impressive about Carlos's work is the way he captures a realistic and tone-appropriate atmosphere for every shot he takes. Carlos is a prop master and has an extensive arsenal of unique props to enhance his scenes. From intestines and guts he utilizes in his various horror and fantasy pictures, to rats, cats, and other vermin he uses to flesh out his dungeon and city street settings. What really makes the feeling of Carlos's pictures is his lighting setups and his use of fog and close-up angles that dramatize and frame his incredibly imagined scenes. Carlos has a vast array of diodes he utilizes to their full extent, getting the most out of each diode by shooting it from many embedded angles and positions. Using the same diode, but with little tweaks to the props, lighting, and figures, he can change the whole feel of a scene. These are two shots that really show off the way Carlos can create a completely brand new scene with just the change of figures, props, and lighting. This particular scene, this Walking Dead, i.e. Dawn of the Dead scene, is one of my favorites. Just the way he creates the beautiful lighting, atmosphere, has a great focus on the figures and the diorama in the like middle ground, but it has the blurry out of focus cross in the foreground, trees, and another cross set in the background. He does a great job of creating a great field of depth and atmosphere. And there's those prized intestines we talked about laying on the ground of the governor's daughter's feet. And then in this next one, there's some more props. There's a little rat I talked about. There's bone on the ground and the heads. All this stuff adds to make such a unique, creepy scene. And then he just changes up the lighting with that orange lighting, switches out some props, changes the positioning of a few things, and boom, brand new scene. Being resourceful and inventive like this is a great way to get many uses out of one or two diodes. That way you don't have to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on multiple diodes. Carlos can take old school McFarlane figures, like the one shown, with limited articulation, and make them blend so seamlessly into the environments he creates. He does a great job of getting natural looking poses out of his Mythic Legion figures, as shown here in some of these Mythic Legion shots. Even for that one writing there, it looks pretty nice. And other figures that don't have the most hyper articulation or even modern articulation at that. We're looking at you, McFarlane. If you're not already following Carlos C. Mariscal on Instagram, I highly urge you to stop what you're doing and go straight to Instagram and give him a follow right now. Let's take a couple looks at some of his other pictures, some other ones that are some of my favorites from him. He can take some simple figures like this Garbage Pail Kid right here. Oops. He can take simple figures like this Garbage Pail Kid, scatter some different props and elements around, and make a beautifully atmospheric photo and just pull it, out of nowhere. I mean, this is simple but beautiful. Here, a lot more dynamic posing on the figures. We have this Fortnite figure back here, making it look really good with this NECA figure right here. I mean, those two lines shouldn't even cross, but he makes it look like it's a thing that just happens every day. Even just the simple pictures like this one. I mean, you just evoke so much feeling and atmosphere from this simple photo right here. Because he has so much going on. It's not so simple. He gets the details of the cracks in the walls, the broken radiator, whatever is going on back here. garbage on the ground, fucking, it's just every little thing adds, and he doesn't go too crazy. I mean, right here, this is a dungeon though. You want guts and rats and stuff on the floor. This is one of my favorite ones actually, because this figure just looks so scary and intimidating in this scene right here, and it's just such a great setup. So, cheers to you, Carlos. You are my first champion and my first choice for Major's picks. Even this simple, tiny 4.4-inch figure looks amazing when shot by Carlos. And that is C Mariscal on Instagram. Make sure you check him out, give him a follow, and let him know Major Reaction sent you. All right. Our next artist is another guy from California. Unfortunately, I haven't had the luck of meeting him yet. He's in Southern California. We probably live about a couple hours apart, honestly. That is Michael Wisman. And one of the main reasons I chose Michael Wisman is because as an artist, he's always stood out to me. His work is clean, simple, focused, and just always on point. He has this way of taking basically like simple dios, like just this piece from this Diamond Select right here, his Diamond Select Chitauri figures. He put two of these together, threw Deadpool and Negasonic Teenage Warhead on there, put some amazing cutouts. That is what he is. He's the cutout master, in my opinion. He does such a great job with the ACBA cutouts, and he makes all his own cutouts. He doesn't buy them. He makes them himself, and they are the cleanest cutouts in the game. If you're looking for inspiration, Michael is one of the main people to look, because his simple shots tell stories, and what he can do with so little is so impressive. The saying, less is more. Michael takes that to the extreme, and he's one of the best people to showcase that. Here's something I haven't seen from him before, but I really like My Hero Academia, and I love this shot. And this is just another proof of how awesome his pictures are. Look at this cutout in the back. It's blurred out, but this is a cutout. This is a paper cutout of Smoke, and he does some badass anime cutouts, and I have always really enjoyed those too. He was like, he was one of the first to start doing that. He's a master of modding figures also. So if you ever are interested in doing some of his mods, he always has his YouTube channel under the same name, Michael Wisman, and you can find his various mods there, like this 6-armed Spider-Man he modded. Some easier than others, for sure. But like, this was one of my favorite shots by Mike. When I first saw him with the Sugarman bath, I already knew I wanted this figure, but after seeing this, I instantly went and picked up the My Hero Academia All Might statue that all these little figures came with. I think it's a Mastercraft statue, and you basically just snap together, and these little kids come with it. And he just threw them in there, put one in the mouth, these beautiful cutouts, his custom April from TMNT. It's just such a good photo. Yeah, you really got to appreciate his eye for stuff. And basically, if you've ever heard of the hashtag no dio no problem, Michael's pretty much like the guy who invented that, I feel like, because he's one of those guys who can really push that. Look at this beautiful shot right here. It's so simple, yet so beautiful. His shots are always so clean. Lighting's always even. Never see any hot spots or glares. I mean, just check it out. And he's a master. Like, he can go cross different, toy lines and still keep it up. My biggest, one of my biggest problems is trying to shoot the Dragon Ball figures, because they're so colorful and stuff, and I'm so used to shooting dark figures. I know you guys probably heard me say this 1,000 times, but that's really one of my weaknesses. So Michael always has he always does a great job with that stuff. I mean, this shot right here alone and his use of this background also has been like a huge inspiration for me whenever I try to shoot certain things, especially Dragon Ball Z. I try to capture his feel, but I can never get that balance lighting. I've been working on it more and more lately, but Michael is a master of it. And like I said, cutouts. If you can find cleaner cutouts in the game, let me know, because Mike's cutouts are clean. So that's Michael Wisman. If you guys aren't following him, check him out. He's been a big member in the ACBA community, always willing to give a helping hand. Check him out. Check out his work. Check out his mods. He's an awesome dude from California, another California brother. All right. Next, we have our up and coming artist. Now, what I plan to do for Majors Picks, I didn't plan this to begin with, but what I kind of came up with is I want to have maybe a monthly to bi-monthly contest where I take all my featured photographers and do 2 contests. One for my, basically like what I want to call my more established photographers, guys that I've known for a long time, guys who've been in the game for a while, who have amassed kind of a following, you know. I mean, I only have 1,200 followers myself, but I've been doing this for about 7 years now. And, you know, we all slowly work at it. Some of us blow up, some of us don't. So I just want to have 2 different contests. That way we have the more established people who've been in it longer going up against each other. And then the up and coming artists, who I'll feature maybe 1 to 2 up and coming artists per week. And they will have their own bracket. And maybe we can do a monthly to bi-monthly voting process. And you guys will pick the winner. And at the end of that voting process for each month or 2, the 2 winners will get a prize. If that sounds awesome, let me know. If you guys have any other suggestions on how we could, you know, work that out, let me know. But I'm really interested in, you know, giving back to the community because, like I said, I've been a part of it for 7 years, and I'd like to start to give back. All right, so we have our first up and coming artist, Delicious Poses. Unfortunately, I reached out to him, was gonna talk to him and maybe find out some more about him, you know, get his name and everything. But unfortunately, I probably reached out a little too late. I think he's on the East Coast, so he's probably asleep by the time I'm recording this. But I just wanted to feature him as an up-and-coming artist, as my first up-and-coming artist, because he does something a little outside the box for me, which is Transformers. And like Michael Wisman, he does a really great job of doing, you know, basically like no dial, no problem. A lot of times he uses very limited dioramas and, you know, kind of goes for the more minimalist approach. And I really enjoy that. And especially with the colors and stuff he uses and the Transformers, which I don't use myself and I don't collect personally. I'm like living vicariously through him and looking at his photos and stuff. So let's take a couple of looks at some of his pictures that I really like, I really enjoy, and some of the things that make him stand out as an artist to me. So right here, beautiful use of lighting. We have all these yellow explosions lit really nice to where they look like they're actual explosions. And he's even using the foreground, you know, smoke blast effect, which I always had a hard time using, but he makes it look really good here. The lighting he got is awesome. Nice even lighting on his background, so you don't see any hot spots or anything like that. And this cutout is done pretty nicely. Now, most cutouts you would mark up with a black marker on the edge, but this gunfire cutout like this is something that I don't think you really want to touch up in that way, so I think he did a great job there. Sometimes cutouts become hard because the focus goes to the figure or to the cutout or somewhere in between. So sometimes you might have an issue with your cutout becoming blurry while the figure is clear. Now, I myself have had that issue many times. It's a lot with playing with your aperture and, you know, getting the right lighting. That way you don't have to blow out the cutout with too much lighting, if that makes sense. So always, you know, work with that, adjust your lighting, always work with your aperture, creating like either a further or a closer, a smaller or bigger aperture to create, you know, to get that in focus. So that way you can get the face of the figure and your cutout in focus. It's a lot of trial and error. So just mess around with those settings on your camera. Delicious Poses did a great job here getting, you know, the best of both worlds. And I think this picture looks really great and speaks for itself. Let's take a look at some of his other stuff right here. Same kind of concepts going on. Some great posing too. We got a battle scene here. Optimus giving a nice punch. Now, sometimes punches are really hard to make look like they landed, but here he does a great job of showing the aftermath of the punch. So good job there, Delicious. Let's see. Okay, here we go. Beautiful. This is kind of opposite of what he normally does. So normally he has a nice, colorful, bright background. Here he goes for the complete dark. I love it. He got the infinite black going on in the background. This cutout stands out very nicely. Positioning might have been a little better if he gone a little higher, closer to the mouth with the tail of the cutout. Other than that, I really enjoy it. The pose is beautiful. Carnage looks threatening as hell. The lady's pose is beautiful. It looks like she's cowering away. Maybe kind of a grasping hand. I know certain figures don't have these type of hands, but if he could have maybe swapped out a grasping, maybe like kind of like an open hand, kind of like a shielding right there, that kind of looks just a little off, but the posing is on point. I love it. The use of props, the dumpster in the background, the dumpster in the foreground, it looks really nice. Beautiful picture. Marvel Legends here, which is my go-to, so I really like that. And he's stepping outside of his wheelhouse. Like I said, he's mostly a Transformers guy, so when he does the Marvel Legends fix, it's a little out of his wheelhouse, but he still nails them, like this picture right here. I don't care for this figure one bit, but he made it look good. And let's just show a couple more off before we get out of here. Wrap this podcast up. Great picture here. He's using panels here. So panels is something that we use in toy photography. Articulated comic book art is one of the first mediums to use the panels, I want to say. And basically what you're trying to do here is accomplish the same thing we're trying to accomplish with the ACBA, which is to recreate comic panels. So here you're actually using your photos as comic panels. So by creating that borderline in the middle and basically showing what's going on. So, you're seeing Megatron side here, Do Not Fail Me. And from this side, you're seeing Starscream side. So that's basically like in a chain of events, a chain of panels in a comic book. So beautiful, beautifully done, telling the story. And yeah, if Starscream messes up this time, he's going to be scrapped. All right, let's take a look at something like right here. Beautiful. Okay, so this is something we want to talk about is flying poses. Now this neck looks a little awkward. They're Delicious, but those female necks, they always give us some trouble. So what we're looking at here is the way he hid the stands. So he created flying poses and did a great job of hiding those stands. You don't see any stands coming up their butts. You don't see any stands coming off the sides of their legs or nothing. So great job there, Delicious pose. And that is, especially when you're starting out in toy photography. I don't know how long Delicious Pose has been doing it. I kind of wanted to talk to him and find out. But when you're starting out in toy photography, flight stand, getting people to look like they're flying is one of the hardest things. Even now, I struggle to do so. I just recently kind of started messing around with Photoshop and was able to get some decent results with some flying shots by editing out stands. But I think the best way is to try to hide the stands, kind of similar to what he's doing here. This is more of like a blast off, so it's not the same, but great lighting, use of the polyfill right here, or it could be cotton, something like that, but polyfill is what you usually want to use. That way it looks really nice on the camera. Cutouts are nice. A little bit of black lining on the edges would make them look a little cleaner and pop a little harder. But beautiful background. Look at that background. Nice, even lighting. Good job, Delicious Poses. That's one of the things I noticed in a lot of people's photography is they have a hard time creating that nice, even background. And it looks like Delicious Poses got that down. So make sure you guys take notes. If you ain't already following the guy, Delicious_Poses, give him a follow. Let him know who sent you. Remember Michael Wisman and C. Mariscal. These are all of my up-and-coming people. These are all of my picks. Sorry, all of my picks for this week. And we got the first up-and-coming artist, Delicious Poses. Stay tuned for the next episode. We will definitely be reviewing more. You got it. More toy photography from more great artists that I enjoy. Make sure you guys start using that Majors Picks tag, hashtag Majors Picks. That way you can be featured here on the podcast. You can actually see your picture show up. I'll talk about how great your photography is, and we'll discuss why it's so great. Also, even if you didn't, like most of these guys never hashtag major picks, but like I said, this is the pilot episode, so I already had people in mind for this episode. Going forth, I will try to choose more from the tag, but with what I have to choose at the moment, I think we will continue to pick some of my favorite artists, and then when the tag starts to grow and grow, we will start to choose more and more people from there. But there is a couple artists I would like to feature from there, and in the next episode, you will definitely be seeing some of the people who have used my tag in the past. So keep your eyes peeled. Make sure to use that tag. Let me know what you guys think. Yeah, I hope you guys like it, and thanks for tuning in. Stay geeked up and geek out. I've always wanted to say that. And check out our podcast check out the podcast at the Geek Out Show. I'm there every week. We record every Sunday. Podcast releases sometime later in the week. You can hear about our comic pickups, our collectible pickups, what we've been watching, all that kind of stuff, what we've been playing. Yeah, check out my fellow co-hosts. We got Black Hole Comics. That's Gil. He's the leader, the one who beats us and whips us and tells us to get back to work. J. Rue Toys. That's Jade. He's our homie from Texas. That sweet Southern voice. CF Addicts. That's my homie Juan. He owns his comic shop up in Union City. Check him out. Comic and Figure Addicts. And that's it for us. You can also check out Strawberry Fields Forever. That's our buddy Keenan. He helps us on our social pages and stuff like that. And check out some of our fellow network associates, which would be the Nerdicons podcast. They just joined the Geek Out Show network. Check out Jade's show, Can and Cantina. Check out Juan's show, Spec Deck at the moment. And check out our buddy Eric's show, Cartoons, Comics, and Cold Pizza. Thanks for watching. Remember, use that hashtag.